Hi, it's me again. It's been a while. I am back with a little talk. I guess there's some updating I need to do because I feel like I can't post my videos and I can't edit most of my videos just because I feel like I haven't talked about this. And it's kind of fitting now that it's been a year exactly since this. Yeah, I guess I just kind of want to talk about it for me, for my own good. I had plans and they got ruined. That's basically what it is, but I kind of want to talk more in detail about it because maybe there's somebody out there watching this that had plans and they got totally ruined and now you're like the saddest person in the universe. And I was there. I'm still kind of there, and so I kind of wanted to talk about that and what I will do to kind of heal from that and get over that. So I guess we should start with the fact that a year ago today I was in New York City. I think it was like one of the best things that happened to me last year. I was extremely excited. I was just living life basically a year ago today. It was the most excited I had been in a while. I was so motivated. I was so pumped for everything. I'm doing this in my car because I've been meaning to do this and I just keep getting distracted wherever I do end up filming it. It's sunny out and that makes me happy, so I thought today would be a good day also because it marks the 1-year anniversary of where I had this plan and I thought it was perfect and unbreakable and I felt invincible. And I was in New York and the sun was shining and I felt so much peace and so much happiness and so much excitement, and it kind of went downhill from there. So basically, if you don't know, I went on a trip to Europe back in February of 2020. But that trip kind of was that push that was like, you can do it, you did this, so you can do that. And I felt very empowered. I felt very secure in my decisions. I felt ready. And that doesn't happen often. Sometimes they say you have to do things when you don't feel ready because you're never going to feel ready. But I felt that I was ready. And so I went on this trip, and after this trip, I wanted to move to like either Australia or like London. I chose Australia because some of them were Australian, and so they talked to me about it. So I decided to write down what my goals were and what I was gonna do. I was so naive. I didn't know what was coming. I had no idea. And this was, again, February of 2020. Looking back at it, I just feel so dumb in thinking that I was just gonna do it. I flew back to my house, to my family, and I ended a relationship because I just felt like it had to come to an end. I felt like it's what I needed. I wanted something new. Like I said, I wanted zero attachment. I didn't want anything to hold me back. So I applied for a visa. I didn't actually apply. I just had all of my documents and I filled it out and I took this like personality test and everything was in plan, and I put my 2 weeks in at work, which was a huge, like, you guys don't understand how big this was for me because it took me so long to get out of that job. It was a great job, great people. I don't really have any complaints of that job. I think very highly of my coworkers, and I think very highly of my boss at the time. I loved my job, don't get me wrong. However, I don't know how to explain this, but it's really hard to go to work and sit in an office when your brain is somewhere else, like your heart is somewhere else. You're there, you're going through the motions, you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're doing great. However, your heart hurts. It aches because you are, how do you explain this? You're just not where you want to be. It's not what you want to do, and you feel like you're wasting your potential, like you're wasting away your days and hours. And I would go to the bathroom or fill up my water, and we had this huge window, and I would just look outside and I would be like, I could be doing so much. I could be doing this. There's so many things I wanted to do. My job hours were normal and I didn't work during the weekends, but it was hard because I don't know how to explain this because I don't know if a lot of people have gone through it, but if you have, you know exactly what I mean. You'll go to work and you'll give it your best. You're there, but you come home and you're so just mentally drained. You're gone. You're done. You don't want to do anything. It's 5 o'clock and you just want to go to bed. You have no motivation for anything, and people are like, oh, well, when you want it hard enough, you do it. I don't know if they've ever experienced that mental block that you have when you've wasted all of your energy into something that doesn't bring your heart and your soul joy. And you get to go home and you want to do all of these things, but your body just won't. It just won't. It's, you try, and then if you do, you're angry because you know how good you could do it if you weren't exhausted. You get angry because you're like, if I just felt good, this would turn out so good, or I wish I just felt better, or I wish I was excited, but you're not excited. You're just like going through the motions, and you're tired, and you're not really doing it anymore because you wanted to and you're excited. You're doing it because you feel like a failure if you don't. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of how I felt. I was in this like cycle of going to work, and then I had a relationship at that point, so I felt like I needed to put my needs aside to fill those of the relationship. And it was kind of a long distance relationship at one point because he lived 3 hours away, and so he would have to drive here, and anytime that he was here I would have to give him my time because we didn't have any other time together. He was away. So it got to be a lot, and it got to be difficult, and I felt like I was giving him all of my free time because it was mostly like the weekends. And not that I didn't want to, I did, but I also wanted to do some of my stuff, and it was difficult because to make a relationship work, you have to make sacrifices. And so I was making sacrifices of the things that I wanted to do, and I was making sacrifices for work as well. Like, I was at work and I would get drained and give it my all, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, that I could do this job, because they're trusting me with a lot, and I had a lot of responsibility. It was a full-time IT job. Without me, they couldn't do their job. Like, I needed to have their stuff ready. I needed to fix their printers. I needed to fix their computers. Like, I needed to give them their computers on their rotation. Like, I needed to do my job fully so that they could do theirs. So I had, like, this pressure on me that I put on myself, nobody else. I put it on myself of, like, you need to be perfect. Like, you need to have everything, like, perfect and ready to go. And on top of that, like, you need to be the best girlfriend. Like, you're not being a good girlfriend. You're not giving him the time of day. Like, you're not calling him. You're not texting him as much. But I just felt drained and exhausted. So I took this trip, and then coming back from the trip, I was like, I don't have to do this. Like, this isn't who I am. This isn't what I want. This isn't what 13-year-old me wanted, you know? Like, what am I doing? It's not what I wanted, and it's not what I said I was going to do. And when I was younger, I promised that I was going to do the things that I wanted to do, because my mom and my dad had worked so hard for us to have a better, like, life, and for us to do the things that make us happy, not for us to be miserable in an office. Like, during my lunch break, I would take a nap and sleep, and I would tape a sheet on my seat that said, I'm on my lunch break, don't wake me up. And I would sleep for 30 minutes during my lunch because I just felt so exhausted. And it wasn't the job that was exhausting. It was like my body didn't want to be there, and it was like taking a toll on everything else, because the job wasn't bad at all. Like I said, it was amazing. Like, it was good. It paid me well. Like, it was a good job. It was just, I didn't want to be there. My body and my soul and my mind and nothing of me wanted to be there. And so after this trip, I finally, like, I was like, I'm gonna do it. And my partner at the time had been asking me to just quit. He had been telling me, like, just quit. It's not doing any good for you. Like, you're deteriorating. Like, you need to quit. And I couldn't, and I couldn't, and I couldn't. I was like, I can't. Like, I would tell myself, this is the day I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk to my boss, and I'm just gonna quit. Finally, this trip gave me the courage to quit. I was ready. I felt like I was ready. So I went in, I talked to him, I quit, I trained my new person. And then when I was training the new person, COVID started, like, being a really big thing. Like, places were shutting down, borders were, like, closing. And my application, they, like, didn't let me submit it. They were like, there's no submission of applications. We are shutting down the borders. You're not coming in. And I was like, okay, like, whatever, because I'd already quit at that. Like, I was already training my replacement, so it's not like I can just be like, never mind, like, I'll stay here and keep working, like. And besides, I didn't really want to. Like, to me, like, I was done. I was the next chapter. I didn't think a pandemic was gonna last, you know, this long. I was literally like everyone else where it's like, oh, we don't really know what's happening. We're going to close, but then we're going to reopen and everything's going to be fine. But then it wasn't, and I wasn't fine, and I had no job, which was fine because I needed some time off anyway. So I had no job. It was summer, and then after summer I was going to go to Australia, and my entire summer with my family was planned. We had pre-booked everything. Like, we had a cruise, we had an all-inclusive. Like, it's gonna be a nice summer that we had worked really hard for. We had already paid everything in advance. We were going to Hawaii with my sister afterward. Like, it was just, we had so many things planned. Like, this was going to be it. I was ready. I was excited. I'm like, this is the best of my, like, year of my life. I'm gonna make it happen. Like, I was literally the happiest, the most excited. And I had no escape out. Even then I was like hopeful. I was like, it's fine, like it's not a big deal, like we're gonna come out on top. Like, and then I just started losing hope, like little bit by little. I ended up meeting Cole very unexpectedly. I didn't expect anything to happen there, but it did, and now I love him so much. And that's like the only good thing that came out of it. I did get to go to California to see my cousin, and she got to come here, but that was like it for me. The whole point is I felt like I lost my faith. I was angry, I was hopeless because it was just thing after thing taken away from me, and I didn't think it was fair of me to be sad. I felt like it wasn't fair of me to feel any sort of negative emotion because I had food on the table and I had a shelter and my family was fine. So I felt like it was very unfair of me to feel angry or sad or disheartened. I felt like I wasn't allowed to feel those things because I was blessed in so many other ways. And that's where I think I went wrong, because I should have just addressed that I wasn't okay. I should have addressed that I was sad, that I was angry, and I just kept telling myself, like, but you can't feel that way. Like, it's not fair. There's people out there with real problems, and you're out here crying because you didn't get to do all these things, you know, which are a privilege. And so I felt that it wasn't fair, that I couldn't feel sad. I would tell myself, you're so dumb for feeling sad. There's really nothing missing in your life and you can't feel this way. You're not allowed to feel anything but grateful and thankful and blessed. That was wrong of me. I should have just felt what I needed to feel so I could heal. But instead, my mind was still stuck on February 2020. Like, to me, it's been a year now, an exact year. And I still feel like that was yesterday. I still feel like I was in New York City yesterday. And everything that happened in between then and now, it's kind of a blur to me. I feel like it was a way of my body to just kind of disconnect, to like pretend that didn't happen. Like in my head, I'm still like, yeah, when it's over, I'll go. But that's not true, and I need to like face the facts, and that's what I'm doing. It just took a whole year to kind of just be like, hey, it's okay. Like, I'm allowed to feel sad and angry for my problems. Just because other people have bigger problems does not invalidate mine. So I just want to let anyone know that if you're struggling through something, just because they're smaller problems does not invalidate them. And while they may not be as traumatic or big as other people's, they're still your problems, and you're still allowed to feel them, and they're not invalidated, you know? They're not non-existent. You're still allowed to feel those emotions, and you should let yourself feel those emotions. It's important. It's important for your process. It's important for healing. And I struggled a lot because also being religious, I felt like I needed to trust God and that God had a plan. And I was like, God, like, what are you doing? Like, I was so angry at him, and I was so tired of trying to be positive of everything. Like, I just wanted to like be sad and let myself be sad. Like, I just wanted to, but I kept telling myself, like, you can't, like, you're so blessed, like, God loves you and your family's like doing so well, and like no one's getting sick. Like, there's people that are dying, and Andy, like, what are you doing? Why do you feel sad? You have nothing to feel sad about. And that's not true. I was allowed to feel sad, and I felt like I needed to be there for the people that had lost so much that I wasn't there for myself. I needed to take some time to process it, and that's what I'm doing now, slowly but surely. I'm just trying to kind of come to terms with it. Like, it is what it is. It happened. And I tell myself that every day, you know, like, I was positive and I was hopeful for something, and then it would just get stripped away. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, but I have this, you know, and it's going to be great. And it would just like rip Band-Aid. And it was just a lot. It was a lot for me to handle, because it was rock after rock after rock after rock. And I'm like, come on, give me a break, God. Like, what are you doing? Like, I can handle it, but come on, like, I need a breather. And I just wasn't getting it. I was pretending that I was this positive little butterfly. Like, it's good to be positive, and I'm glad I stayed positive, but I was allowed to feel sad and angry and hopeless. But instead, I was like, no, like, you can't be sad, you're fine. And so if you can take anything away from this, is whatever you're feeling, you're allowed to feel it, no matter what. Your feelings are valid. Your emotions, whatever you're going through, they're valid. Just because, like I said, they're not as big as someone else's, does not mean that they're not important. They are, and you should let yourself go through them, process them, do whatever you need to do to acknowledge them, and then let them go. Acknowledge and let go. Like, my faith was really shaken up because I just felt like he had failed me. I had everything. Why did you take it from me? Like, what did I do? I'm like, okay, like, I get it. What's the lesson? Like, that was my attitude towards it. My attitude was like, what did you want me to learn? And that's the wrong attitude to have. And I knew that, but I was so angry that I didn't care. I would read, like, I would do my prayers, and I had these little booklet, and it would tell me, like, you need to trust his timing, and his timing's perfect, and everything happens for a reason. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. There's days where I would allow myself to be like, okay, like, his timing is perfect, like, there was a reason for this. But the next day, I would just be completely, like, in shambles again. Like, I don't understand. Like, why would you do this? And I'm still trying to cope with that. Like, I'm still trying to process it. Like, okay, like, I'm opening my heart and I'm opening my mind to whatever you have planned. Now I don't feel ready. Now I'm not ready. Now I'm not in, everyone's like, oh yeah, well, when you're not ready, that's when you should do it. It's just so annoying that you have to not feel ready for it to be ready. Like, this has all been like a whole year revelation to me, you know, because at first you're like in denial for like 5 months and you're like, no, this isn't happening. Like, I'm still gonna go. And then the next, 5 months, you're like, okay, let's see, what are we supposed to learn from this? Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely taken a while, a year. Better late than never. So yeah, my camera's gonna die like always, but that's why I stopped posting after Christmas. I just didn't have it in me, and I felt heartbroken and everything felt disjointed. So now at least, like, there's like an explanation for it, and I can just, there's like a weight lifted off of my shoulders, and it's out there, and I'm okay, and I can just move on. Like, I can put this here and move on and post my videos and not feel like something's missing. Not feel like I need to explain myself. I'm just kind of waiting for the next opportunity, and I'm being patient with it and knowing that God is just going to take me and we're going to do this together, and it's just how it's going to be. And I need to let go of that control factor that I have so tightly attached to me. And yeah, I hope that if you watch this, you remind yourself that it's okay, that your feelings are valid, your emotions are valid, no matter what other people are going through, yours are valid as well, and that you're not alone, and that I love you, and that you can do it. No matter what you're going through, you can do it. Might not feel like it's getting better. I still don't feel like it is. I know eventually it will, but just know that you're valid, you're worthy, and I love you, but God loves you, and you're gonna get taken care of. You need to worry less. It's a hard thing to do. Trust me, it's a lot easier said than done. Like, you just like, oh yeah, worry less, be happy, trust God. It's a lot harder than that. But yeah, everything's gonna be okay. We're all gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one.